What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back for the career mode journey, episode number 29 for the Hungarian Grand Prix, the last episode before the coveted summer break. If you guys are excited for this series returning, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. Make sure you check out the last episode if you haven't seen it already. It was, well, pretty spicy, I'll say that much. It was certainly a milestone race for the team and myself, maybe for Mark, who knows, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, thank you guys once again for joining this series once again. In the way of upgrades, once again, the grind never stops. We can do a minor weight redistribution upgrade. We'll probably put that one on the back burner for now. We have the potential to do a minor tire wear upgrade, and that'll just about go on in time for this Grand Prix. I believe we also have a front downforce upgrade, a major one from like last episode that we put on the car. That's due to go on for this race. So provided those two things can go on, we'll have a pretty handy race car for this circuit. In terms of DRS upgrade, that'll have to be rushed in if we want to do that. But I think on the balance of things, we're probably going to go down the path of tire wear. It has been a little bit harsh lately, and you never know, it'll certainly help us in moving forward in races. And Hungary is a circuit which actually eats up tires, surprisingly. So it'll be a handy upgrade, and we can afford to just do the standard development and hopefully have it not fail. So we need to do some upgrades in the chassis department. We're severely lacking compared to other teams, and this is the way we go about recovering some performance in that area. So fast forwarding time, we got a personnel event. This one is for the preserve work-life balance. Very good. We can accept, lose a bit of powertrain morale. I mean, we do need to do some powertrain upgrades in the future, so we want to have a balanced reward here. So I think we'll go with the one that gives us slight cash and slight morale. Happy days.
Thanks for stepping in and helping handle that.
Right, so that is sorted out and dealt with. Let's fast forward to the race weekend itself. We do have some more resource come in, which will probably enable us to do a personnel upgrade. I'm looking at simulator. Now that we've re-signed Mark Webber, that frees us up cash-wise to reinvest into the team, basically. So we're going to improve the sim, and it's going to boost his pace stat by 5 clicks, I think, and also do a pit upgrade. So the pit stops will be faster in our races. So 2 much needed upgrades. 2 upgrades I'm surprised I haven't done yet, but they will make a decent little difference for our oh no, for our success going forward. But that's not a good omen for success. That failure on the minor tire wear, the chassis side, which we really needed. I was really looking forward to that heading into this weekend. Hungary is a very high tire wear circuit, as I've already alluded to. So that's a big loss for us. But a small consolation from Mercedes, though. We do get a power unit upgrade, which is going to boost the engine power, which is nice, but it's not going to make a huge difference at a circuit like this. Anyway, we have a rain-soaked race heading our way. 90% chance of rain, and it looks like it's going to be heavy rain throughout the entirety of the Grand Prix. An update on the performance index, and we have kicked on ahead of Alpine heading into this race. We make nice gains on the likes of Ferrari, Red Bull, and McLaren, but then Mercedes have emerged from the second best car to be clear favorite heading into this race weekend. So power unit upgrades for all Mercedes-based cars. We are dragged into that as well, but what have Mercedes actually put into that car outside of the power unit? Well, that remains to be seen. Perhaps some major aero upgrades. We did have our major front downforce upgrade as well go on in time for this race, and that is certainly going to help when it comes to extracting performance out of the car in the rain. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I think for us, the big obstacle now is going to be qualifying. I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to go for a full wet setup. And it might compromise us in qualifying, but we're going to be absolutely flying in the race. So that's what we're going to go for. We are going to be very slow in a straight line, which will make us susceptible to being overtaken by faster cars, by the top-end cars, if we're lucky enough to out-qualify them or get ahead of them. But yeah, it's going to be so crucial to get a good time in the dry, in qualifying. Thankfully now with our upgrades, we are within touching distance of these big teams. There's only like 100 performance points difference between the worst team and the best team in Formula 1. So we're definitely within arm's reach with a good setup, with some good driving, good form from us or our teammate. We can make up the difference now between us and the top 3 teams. So I'm hoping to spring a surprise amongst these guys and just really get in the mix. So let's see what we can do. But before we get into qualifying, one final upgrade for the brakes, because it is going to be touch and go between now and Monza. So best to just get those upgrades on now that we've got some extra discounts from practice. Anything else? Oh, we will get the tyre wear upgrade and put that behind us. Time for quali for the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's quali time then for the Hungarian Grand Prix. No rain, unfortunately, in this session. It will be bone dry throughout, so I'm not too sure how many other teams are going to have this approach, setting up realistically for the race. My understanding is, doesn't matter whether it's rain, hail, or shine. I think the AI kind of set up the car in the same way, which is essentially down the middle, or whatever the new preset is. So given that this is a high downforce circuit, the AI will go full downforce mode. So I believe it's based on the dry and not really helpful in the wet. So we should have a slight edge there in that front. Anyway, we're sliding around on our first lap here, running the top time trial setups, as I tend to do. But on this occasion, I've gone out without lowering the tire pressures. The front end is fine. I think we need to lower the rears by quite a lot just to make it livable, really, because those rears are on fire. They've been on fire ever since we entered the third sector. It's just one of those circuits. Always been the case on the F1 games. You need to take all the tire pressure out that you can get away with without killing the car or the performance. But when it does start overheating on carcass temps, then that, as soon as it's above 105 degrees, it kills the performance anyway. So you might as well compromise and make it nice. So we're going to go from one extreme to the other and see how that affects the handling of the car. We are down on the first sector split. It is a bit of a compromise, also just dancing the car around this circuit. You need to not take too much life out of the rear tyres at the start of the lap to give you some kind of an edge at the back end of the lap. There are many circuits like this on the F1 calendar, and in a way it is nice to kind of have to deal with this and drive realistically in a way that the drivers do at some circuits, like Russia, for example. That's the third sector there. The drivers are on a knife edge, just trying to keep the tyres in the right window to get the most out of them over the course of a whole lap. So it's nice to emulate that in the game. Anyway, 3 minutes left to go in this session. We're currently P18 and P19, myself and Mark Webber, which is not where I was expecting us to be. Maybe Mark's listening on the driver briefing heading into this race weekend, and has gone for a wet weather setup too. We can only hope. We are 3/10 up as we approach Sector 3 now, up to the line. Where does this going to put us? It's only 2.5 improvement, and it puts us 16-2, P17. That is not safety at this stage. 40 seconds remaining in the session. I've gone for a cooldown lap. You can see I'm a minute slower than my previous best, so I basically let all the traffic go because they came out of the pit lane right pretty much where I was. So I've given myself a bit of track space here, cooled out the tires, and now we go again. So let's see what we can do with lower fuel, slightly worn tires, but cold tires crucially, which will hopefully give us a bit of an edge as we head towards sectors 2 and 3. So we're down sector 1. I think the delta is a little bit broken there, so ignore that, but we're pushing on as best we can, hitting some nice apexes through the middle sector, really utilizing the full track width on approach into that left-hander, through the right left chicane, into this left, which leads into the right. And this can be really, really testing for the tires. We do get through there nicely. We are green as we approach Sector 3 now, so this is all about maximizing whatever tire life we have left. Battery is getting down there a little bit. On the power nice and early, fourth gear, trying to minimize the wheel spin and look after the temperature of the rear tires. Through the last corner, we are up by 5/10, but whether that's actually true or not, remains to be seen. We cross the line and we don't improve, well, enough to go into Q2. We did improve to go P21, but it's back row of the grid. Realistically, we're not that far off. 1.1 seconds, and we're on the back row of the grid. That is insane. That's just how close the field is now. If you're just slightly out of the window, in whatever way it might be, it has catastrophic consequences at this stage in the career mode. 15.9 is an incredible time, which would have got us pole last season, I'm sure of it. But it's absolute mud city in Season 2. That's a shame, but I was expecting this in a way with a wet setup. Uncompetitive in the dry, but in the rain, I really believe this car will come alive. So stay tuned.
It's race day in Budapest as we get ready for another round of Formula One action. We don't expect too many retirements at this circuit. There are plenty of current and former drivers with flawless finish rates here, in particular Ralf Schumacher, who made it across the line in all 10 of his Hungarian Grand Prix starts. The Hungaroring, it's like Monaco without the boats. Although the boats today could come in very handy. 14 corners, 6 to the left and 8 to the right, and some very tricky corners to deal with. These rainy conditions out there aren't going to help either, so it's very likely we'll see a safety car or two during today's race. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. It's Sergio Perez on pole today, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Fernando Alonso, Verstappen, Lando Norris and Webber, Sainz, Magnussen, Mick Schumacher and Alex Albon, Ocon, Leclerc, they've taken a grid penalty, Yuki Tsunoda and Schwartzman, Stroll, Oscar Piastri, Guan Yu Zhou and Benjamin, Russell, Latifi, Ricciardo. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot today. Joining me on this very wet day is a woman who very much came prepared. Nice wellies there, Nats. Natalie Pinkham, how would you say the wet weather experience differs between Formula One and perhaps some other forms of racing?
I wouldn't say there's much difference, in all honesty. You know, besides the terrifying closing speeds you find in something like sports cars, with different categories all sharing the same track, driving in the rain is, well, driving in the rain. Of course, the biggest difference is the fact that F1 is open cockpit. On the one hand, they'll be cold and wet without a roof, but on the other, it's much simpler to pull a tear off from a visor than it is to clear a dirty windscreen. So I don't think it's too bad.
Nice bit of rain ASMR. On a level though, these are absolutely dreadful conditions to go motor racing in. Welcome to the grid of the Hungarian Grand Prix. As a competitor, as someone who's gone for a full wet setup, this is a lovely sight to see. Intermediate's not viable, it seems. I mean, I just thought I'd try. I like to just have a look, just in case, because you never know. The inters sometimes magically work in heavy rain conditions at times, but it looks like that's not going to be the case today. We're literally taking all the fuel out. This could be a one-stop strategy. It could be a no-stop strategy. It could be a three-stop strategy. I really don't know. We just have to wait and see how the tyres react to the circuit, to the conditions. It really could go any which way, guys, with carcass temperatures, like simulation, realistic tyre temperatures. Tyres could overheat. Tyres could be too cold. Or inters might be more viable. Really don't know. So it is a great big step into the unknown. Let's just hope the car's quick. That's all that really matters. We are down the order. We didn't take any grid penalties because I wanted to start as high up the grid as I could. I had a feeling there might be some grid penalties up and down the field, and it actually has moved us forward about 4 places. I can't count. I can count the lights though. There are 5 of them and they are now out. We are underway for this Hungarian Grand Prix. Nice start compared to Piastri. We get up into overtake and get wheel spin in 5th gear. That's absolutely insane. Heading down into turn 1. Let's see if we can get Zhou Guan Yu. Maybe the Stroll of Aston Martin as well. See what I did there? We can't get him, at least on the initial drive traction into 4th and 5th gear though. We do seem to have the edge. Even with our maximum downforce we're running, I believe it's 50-50 wings. did have a nice drive and a little bit of straight line speed, at least compared to the Aston Martin on that mini straight. Schwartzman is next, who's been muscled out by Leclerc and Tsunoda. We get up the inside. Very crucial to make up some early places now, because it's going to come a lot more difficult after this opening lap. Everyone hugging the inside, everyone going defensive in an effort to not lose a position. But that just makes us, in our position, that much more stronger. Tsunoda going up the inside of Leclerc. Is that going to work? I'm not too sure. We've got Schumacher, Ocon, Magnussen all squabbling over the final points-paying position of this race. And there's still a power struggle between the big brother team and the small brother team. And it looks like Big Brother wins, as always. Very claustrophobic here as we get side by side, very close on the side pod of Tsunoda. We did make contact, a pretty sizable thump there, it must be said. But we were going side by side for a long time there with a lot of drivers. And eventually something had to give, especially in these heavy rain conditions where visibility is absolutely shocking. But we've been able to get away scot-free without any front wing damage on sim damage, no less as well. Bit of a mistake at turn 1. Tsunoda having a look up the inside, but we were able to get on the throttle a lot earlier than him, given that we got to the corner a lot earlier than him, so GG's. So, qualified P21, started P18, and we moved up to 13th place by the end of the first lap. It is going to take a few laps for us to get our eye in here, guys. We're not perfect, we're not AI, we take time, we have to adapt to the conditions, we have to feel out what this car and what these tyres can do, and for the moment, it does feel nice. It looks like we're able to run at a fairly competitive pace. We're certainly a lot quicker than what we were in the dry over the course of one lap. Tyres are not overheating, we can work with these. We're running very light on fuel, but that's absolutely fine. If you look at the fuel mix counter, we are actually recovering fuel more quickly than what we're burning it. So we should be okay to press on at pretty much max speed for the entirety of this Grand Prix. We get up the inside of Charles Leclerc, which puts us up to P12. And when you're overtaking a Red Bull, you know you're doing pretty well in a Grand Prix. So yeah, I'm pretty confident of what we can get out of this Grand Prix. And I think the options for strategy are actually quite open to us as we see some replays getting up the inside of Leclerc. Again, I wasn't expecting to have this straight line speed, or I wasn't expecting to be able to actually do anything on the straights, but given the way that the setups have changed and how the AI adapt their strategies of setups given what circuit they go to, I think the AI have also gone for a max downforce setup, which has worked out really nicely for us as we get a very cheeky double overtake on Ocon and Schumacher as we go round the outside of the long right-hander. And we are now, after 4 laps, in the points of this Hungarian Grand Prix. Tyre wear looks decent. It certainly looks better than the heavy rain race we had in co-op. I think it's Silverstone, where the tyres were absolutely melting in terms, well, not melting, but really just dying off so quickly in terms of tyre wear. Doesn't seem to be the same case here. So based on these tyre wear numbers, just running some early numbers, we might, if we were feeling brave, we could go to the end of the race without doing a pit stop. I think we would be quite slow, but it seems like we've got the pace to do whatever strategy we want here, it seems. We get on the inside of Albon into turn 1. Pretty textbook there. Decent little move.
Nice move.
Lovely stuff. Mark's happy. And we're just going to press on. What I will say is the track is drying a little bit. And that's not due to the rain changing in terms of intensity. I would say the rain is still pretty much at the same level of intensity as it was at the start of the race, just with these 22 Formula 1 cars going around. We are clearing a lot of water, and it's almost looking like maybe the Inter could be the tyre of choice in a few laps' time. We've seen this happen in a few other races on this game. The Inter has a very wide working window, I'd say, on the F1 gauge, so it could be viable. We are getting faster the deeper we get into this race. The track, I'm certain, is drying. You can see far less puddles on the racing line. Oh, what's happened? Game crashed mid race, so that was a thing. And yeah, that caught me by surprise just as much as what it did for you guys. So that was very head scratching. Thankfully, I did a mid-session save only a lap or two before that crash, so we're able to get back in the action very swiftly. So that's absolutely lovely stuff. Always save your projects, or even if it is a race, a game, because you never know when it might save you a lot of time and effort. Anyway, we rejoin in the action, lap 9, and we're struggling to make any further progress on the field. We were considerably faster than literally everyone behind us, including the McLaren and the Red Bull. They were caught up behind slower cars, I will say, so that was a bit of an anomaly. But the next 8 cars ahead of us have all got pretty good pace. We are faster than our teammate, and we are faster than Magnussen as Lance Stroll is out of the race. That could be a safety car. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm really struggling to make any inroads on these guys. And I will say, I was stuck behind these guys for a very, very long time.
Okay, heavy rain will be staying with us for a while now, at least a 20-minute window of heavy rain. Okay, full wet seems to be the fastest tyre for now.
Okay, just checking the weather conditions, because like I said in co-op career mode, it can be heavy rain, but sometimes the Inter can be the faster tyre, like we saw in, oh, well, you will see. Did you see? Yes, you did see in Silverstone. We're doing too many co-op episodes these days. It's hard to keep track, but we're getting there. We're getting through season 1. We are swiftly approaching season 2. When we get to season 2, I think we're going to run shorter seasons, and things will move much more quickly, especially if we're doing 2 race a week episodes. By the way, if you want to see that series live, it is on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Tiametmarduk. We are streaming today, but I'd imagine the stream might be over. It might still be going by the time you're watching this, if you watch it when it first comes out. Anyway, back to the career mode world, and my teammate is into the pit lane, as are some of the race leaders, McLarens, Red Bulls, Ferraris. Hell, even Mercedes is into the pit lane as well. Hamilton is one of those. George Russell staying out long on his side of the garage for Mercedes. In comes Mark Webber. They're all going for another set of wet compound tyres, so no spur-of-the-moment strategies, no crazy intermediate strategies for any AI, it seems, so far. If anyone's going to do it, it certainly will be us. We continue to find pace, we continue to get faster, and that is the fastest lap of the Grand Prix as we cross the line to start lap 19 of this Hungarian Grand Prix. At least at the time being, we are the fastest car on circuit, and we have been given the lead of the Grand Prix by virtue of everyone else stopping. So there are 15 laps remaining. The AI are now going faster on their new wet compound tyres. And at this point, guys, the lust for another race win is very enticing. We have the opportunity to go for 2 in a row. We are getting caught massively by the likes of Fernando Alonso. He's a decent chunk quicker than us now, and that's only going to continue throughout this race as our tyres die off very rapidly compared to these guys. But we didn't have much of a margin to play with. They had nearly a pit stop's lead on us. We only had a 5-second delta, if that, compared to Alonso when he first came out of the pit lane. So we don't have much of a margin to defend with here. We're literally just having to keep him at arm's reach now to see if we can hold on to this position. Alonso runs wide at turn 1, and that's Sergio Perez going through for P2. I'm sorry, I said George Russell was in the Mercedes. I'm still adjusting to life in career mode, it seems. Need to do these episodes more regularly to remember. I remember Alonso's at McLaren quite easily, but I forget that Norris is at Ferrari as well. So yeah, I'm in the mud in my own series. It's very professional over here on the Tiametmarduk YouTube channel. Anyway, at least we are professional somewhat on the circuit. 53% is our worst tyre, left rear. Sergio Perez having another go at us into the left-hander. Is he going to make this move stick? No, he's not. He does lose out to the McLaren, though, and it's tit for tat for these two once again in this career mode race. You can see Norris looking very handy there for a final spot on the podium there in that Ferrari, just sitting in nice and patiently, letting these two squabble away, burn out their tyres, and Lando could be the dark horse in this race. No, I put the commentator's curse on him, and Hamilton goes through for P4 in this race. We continue on for the fight for the lead. I am losing tyre grip quite massively compared to these guys. Here comes Sergio up the inside. No, that was a bit silly, and that exit was even sillier as he lost even more time on exit. Even with the minor mistakes the AI are doing, even with the squabbling. Oh, nice slide from Sergio. And an equally nice catch there. Even with their moments where they lose time, They quickly managed to catch it back up again. Norris has moved up to P3. He's got ahead of Alonso. So we could be looking at Lando Norris's first win in F1. Who knows? He is fighting away very hard with Fernando Alonso. So much so that they've lost about 2 seconds to us. And it could be just a scrap for P3 now between those guys. And a minor battle between myself and Sergio. Just casual, just a minor battle for the lead of the race. Very casual, very relaxed. Certainly not the case. We have 8 laps remaining in this race, and Sergio is looking out the inside into the right-hander. Tyres are really going off at this point. You can see we did make contact right at the apex there. This replay will tell us all who was at fault for this one. We did leave a decent amount of space to the Mercedes driver, and he mounts the curb, and he kind of has a correction which sends him into the path of me. Granted, I didn't leave him much space. I probably left him just enough to squeeze through, and that's without any kind of corrections, any kind of mistake. So I think maybe next time we leave just a tad more room and we should be okay. Sergio's got away without any damage. Safety car has been deployed.
Okay, watch your pace. We've been informed the safety car is out. There appears to have been an issue with multiple stock vehicles on the track.
Wow, okay, so the safety car has been deployed in this Hungarian Grand Prix with 7 laps to go. We are not going to come into the pit lane. This is a chance for us to look after our tyres even further to get to the end of the race. If we stop now, we're losing the best part of 10 positions. And without pace, even though we do have pace... Oh, Alonso's got a front wing change. So he's had a scuffle with someone at some point over the course of the last lap. And that's put him out of contention for the win now. But you know, even though I have good pace, there's no guarantee I'll be able to get that back, even if I pit for intermediate tyres, even if they are 2 seconds or 1 second a lap faster. It's a massive risk. We are happy, we are confident, we are comfortable in the lead of the race, even with our older tyres. So we're going to keep on this current course. Who knows how long the safety car is going to be out for. It seems that really slow Delta glitch is affecting us in this race, but thankfully we are the race leader, so we're not losing out on anything. We catch back up to the safety car, and I think we will see some green flag running by the end of this lap. So let's gear up, let's get ready. I've done absolutely no tyre preparation in terms of keeping them warm. I haven't tried to save any fuel, where we're massively overfueled at this point now, and the AI even more so. So at this point, we are just driving as slow as humanly possible to look after the tyres. The tyres are cold, but they'll quickly warm back up. The track is fairly dry in terms of wet weather standards. But here we go. 5 laps remaining. We're going to take a nice wide line in to be nice and punchy on the exit. A bit of oversteer, even at safety car speeds. But we are underway with the Hungarian Grand Prix for the last 5 laps. We've got to be really on our toes here, because the AI are going to be using all of their battery over the course of the next 2 or 3 laps at least. I think they'll have absolutely no concerns for battery. So this could be a massive sprint race to get to the end, and that's not a scenario I'm looking forward to, but it's bought us time, it's bought us performance in terms of actually getting our tyres to the end. Without this safety car, we would have really been risking the tyres falling into puncture territory, but now I think we might just about be okay. The thing we do have to worry about is, wow, the tyres not being anywhere near competitive to stay in front of these guys. That's now the concern. I don't think we're going to get a puncture, but as we up our pace, that may become a concern again. So it's a real catch-22. Either way, Verstappen has moved his way into P2. Sergio Perez, massive mistake to make at this stage of the Grand Prix. He gives up P2 and his chance of getting another race win in this season of career mode. Verstappen coming out of nowhere. He wasn't even in the top 5 for the majority of this race. This safety car comes out, and all of a sudden he's a factor again in this race, in this championship. He is fighting away with Fernando Alonso, who is down the order by virtue of that front wing change. So Verstappen is absolutely loving life at this stage. Sergio Perez in a bit more of a desperate position in the championship. He needs this race win. He just wants to get as many as he can before he pieces out in his career mode, or his career in general with Mercedes. You can see Side-by-side action again out of the last corner. Who's going to have the better drive? Looks like Verstappen is more willing to spend the penny, spend the battery. He turns it off halfway down. Mark Webber's overtaking not one, but two Ferraris down the start-finish straight into turn one. We're going to need a replay of that. There's so much happening in this race. Still side-by-side for the Merc and the Red Bull. But here's my teammate in the same machinery as us, absolutely flying in the back end of this race. Displaces Norris and displaces Carlos Sainz in one swift move. So that was absolutely lovely to see from our fellow Australian. Again, the battle continues for Sergio Perez, for Max Verstappen, the former teammates. I wonder if there's any bad blood between these two. Sergio is certainly very keen to prove himself against his old team and against his old teammates. He wants to be P2. He wants to be the first cab off the rank to have a pot shot at me whenever I make that inevitable mistake at some point. We are driving as smoothly as we can. We're really trying to look after these tyres. We really have backed off the pace by at least a second a lap in an effort to really keep the tyre wear down. We can back off through the corners and keep the AI behind us as long as we drive nice and smoothly. We're going for nice, easy exits. We're trying to minimize the wheel spin as much as possible, which is putting us under pressure on the approach to braking zones. As you saw there, had to go defensive on Sergio. But in the middle of the corner and on exit, we're just super slow, just nice and progressive. We don't want to encourage any wheel spin because that's just going to add extra temperature, extra tire wear on those rear tires, which is absolutely the worst thing imaginable at this point. So we're driving nice and smooth. And when it comes to the crucial parts of the circuit, so like last corner, turn one, turn two, oh, we got Sergio up the inside into that right-hander. That's not a conventional overtaking area. I wasn't even expecting that. That's why I turned in. I was just taking my normal line. But all of a sudden, Sergio had a burst of speed. In fact, it was a dive bomb at a high-speed corner, which is very unorthodox. Certainly caught me napping, which I think, from his perspective, he needs to do because we seem to have him covered everywhere else. I was just going to allude to that. We are pushing as much as we need to at the crucial corners, the crucial overtaking parts of the circuit to make sure he stays behind. And Sergio has obviously caught on to that and is now trying to go for unorthodox moves at places of the circuit you wouldn't otherwise expect. But Mark Webber getting caught up behind the Verstappen and Hamilton battle. Hamilton's now getting himself onto the podium. Unfortunately, Webber has lost out to one of the Ferraris. I was hoping he'd be able to get in the mix and maybe even get on the podium if he could overtake both those guys, but he's fallen back one place. Perez again trying that move. This time a little less successful than last time. We've had contact a couple of times over the course of this race, myself and Perez, and somehow that Mercedes is still intact in terms of its front wing, which is a bit of a marvel, it must be said. But we are heading on to the last lap of the Grand Prix, and really, this is the last chance for Sergio Perez to get us down this start-finish straight and into turn one. This is the best overtaking chance of the whole lap, and Sergio has bottled it out of the last corner. Massive wheel spin. He's nowhere near close enough to dive bomb as we head into turn one. Unbelievable. I'm speechless. Sergio is almost throwing this one away. He's not been fast out of the last corner, and it's just meant there's so much pressure on him on this last lap to try and deliver. We go defensive into turn two, nothing doing there. I am a little bit slow out of turn three, and we're going to have to go defensive into turn four as we run up the hill. This blind left-hand approach, very easy to get done for corner cutting. Sergio around the outside, but doesn't have the grip, even with the newer tyres, to go right around our outside. We probably would have squeezed him onto the AstroTurf anyway. There's no way I'm giving up a potential race win on the last lap of the Grand Prix in a car that doesn't deserve to be there. We've got to take every chance we can because we still need third in the Constructors, guys. I know this seems like an impossible feat, but with these back-to-back wins, potentially, that dream might still become a reality if we can turn this around in the second half of this season. Again, nice exit through the right-hander. We're absolutely pushing it now on this last lap. I think we're at 75% on the left rear tyre, which is puncture territory. But we just got to go for it for the last two corners. Sergio trying to get nice and close through the penultimate to set him up nicely for the run into the last corner, going slightly defensive, trying to cover him off. The mid-corner speed isn't great. He gets back up the inside, or he at least has a little look, but it's not enough. We get back-to-back wins in career mode. Oh my word, I'm out of breath. Back-to-back wins in this car. What a miracle.
It's a performance to be proud of from our Hungarian Grand Prix winners today. So, Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
Rain always has the potential to liven up a race and mix up the order, and they've taken full advantage of that to claim the victory today. It's a bit of a lottery when the conditions are like this, but they've managed to stay on the circuit and have come out on top.
A show-stopping performance from the three drivers approaching the podium right now. It's been an interesting Grand Prix, that's for sure.
Absolutely unbelievable. Marduk Motorsport are winners once again. That is a second win in a row in this season of career mode. You know who else won their second race back-to-back after their first? Daniel Ricciardo back in 2014. No, I'm wrong. Ignore that. No, he won in Canada, but then he won again in Hungary, and then he won like another two after that. I'm an idiot. But here's a true fact. Leclerc did it from Sparta Monza, so there we go. At least I got something right, I suppose. It is a win in this season of career mode from 18th place on the grid. That is almost unheard of. We managed to make the tyres stretch right from the start of the race through to the end. I'm not going to lie, I wasn't fully committed to the no-stop strategy right from the start of the race. I could have made that a lot more comfortable for myself. It wasn't until we got the lead of the race that I decided truly to go for the no-stop. So if I would have backed it off a little bit, just drove, I don't know, within myself by another 5-10%, we could have really made those tyres last. I think we could have been in the early 70s in terms of tyre wear, which would have made the pace a little bit better, especially in that stage where I was stuck behind my teammate Webber and Magnussen, I think it was. I was really pushing the tyres. I was really pushing the car to really get past them. So it wasn't the most ideally driven stint or race from me, but we didn't put a foot wrong after we got into the lead, and that's the most important thing. We made the most of a very unique situation where the wets could go the entirety of the race, and there was no DRS for people behind to overtake. It was a very limiting circuit in terms of overtaking, so we just absolutely made the most of the track position, and I'm sure if you guys are in the same position as me, you'd go for it too. So P1 certainly looks a lot better to me than what, a P6, P7. So I'll absolutely take that. And in my efforts, I was trying to help out my teammate Webber by holding everyone up in a way as a byproduct of just parking the bus, really. He did actually get a couple of positions there. Fell back one place behind Norris, but either way, it was a double points finish for the team, which is absolutely lovely. We get all the cash bonuses. We get all the payouts from the sponsors. Not too much in the way of damages there, so that's a fairly nice weekend, but 2 wins on the bounce. That has certainly got to start attracting the attention of bigger teams, attracting the attention of some big brand sponsors throughout the rest of this career mode journey. So, yeah, we'll see if we can do some deals and really level up this team and enable us to kick on further with more development. And I'm sure with Mark on my side, we can get some even bigger partnerships going. So we'll see how that goes. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you need to see plenty more racing game content. 2 wins in a row. We head to the Belgian Grand Prix after the summer break with all the momentum on our side. Webber had a good race today too. So let's kick on with development and make these kind of finishes, these kind of races a mainstay in this career mode throughout. I bet Oscar Piastri is feeling very jealous right now. This could have been you, mate. Unlucky.